Right, you can hear the bikes coming off the line. We're still sat at Farley doing another Man in the Van, brought to you by Whole Shot Motorhomes. Wow, got him in the van. Mr. Bryan Mackenzie. This is a good one for me because me and Bryan's got history.
We've got history. Of the good kind.
Yeah, that sounded like we probably used to take each other out. And,
beef or something.
Yeah, nothing like that. So, for those of you who don't know, well, let's start at the very start. I'm going to start at the very start.
Go for it.
When I met you. So, Bryan used to ride for Team Green. Steve Guttridge, thank you very much, used to support us out. I was doing media at the time, and Stevie G lent me a bike to race for a year. I was obviously past my sale bike date at that point. KWS, I think it was Donington.
2000.
Yeah, and three.
Yep.
2003. So I melted. I think I melted a piston ring or something, didn't I?
Yep.
Because I was obviously crap, getting old, screaming the nuts off it. Couldn't be bothered to change gear. Didn't have a spare bike. Put the offer out if somebody to help out, and this man not only lent me a piston ring, he ended up basically rebuilding my bike for me.
Rebuilt your top end, that's right. Well, no, I'll tell you, selfishly what happened was, I think my dad offered you the spare bike, and I didn't particularly want you to ride my spare bike, so I decided to fix your bike for you instead. Maybe that could have been.
That was probably it.
I think that's what it was, if I'm totally honest.
That's not selfishly, because anyway. Either way, I from that very moment there, I thought, because I didn't know you at all. You was a young rider coming through, and I thought, well, that's fair play.
Yeah, that's right, because we were racing against each other. Right?
Yeah, we were at that point. You were on the up, I was on the slide. We were kind of meeting somewhere, fighting around. Probably 15,
yeah, I'd say
29. Because was that your first year in adults?
Yeah, second.
Yeah. And so we struck a friendship because I thought fair play, that was bloody good. And then a couple of years, I don't know when it was later, but I quit riding, decided to start a team. No, I didn't quit riding, I carried on riding.
That's right, yeah.
Stevie G said, you know, what are you doing? And I said, I'm thinking of starting a team. He goes, well, why don't you start a team with Bryan Mackenzie? So it's actually his idea.
Yeah.
Sat on tyres, testing in Germany for Kawasaki, and I went, that's a brilliant idea. I think Bryan's great. And and that was it. Twisted 7, we started that.
Twisted 7, kicked it off.
Because you had a good schoolboy career. I followed it a bit, but didn't really know you. And then that was it. We came Twisted 7, and you was on the 250 2-stroke, and you used to rag that thing.
Yeah, that was in the day of when everything was starting to go 4-stroke. So we were like the last people who would line up on a 250 2-stroke.
Yeah.
So it was hard work, wasn't it? But yeah, we used to kick their nuts just to battle away and get what we could, do what we could with it.
Do you reckon, looking back, that was probably a good thing to have a couple of years and not jumping straight on a 4-stroke?
Yeah, well, I say this a lot now, even with the kids that I used to coach and stuff. You know, a year on a 125 develops riding skill. You know, because when you're underpowered, you have to learn how to ride the bike and improve your technique to make up for the shortfall in the bike, kind of like the 4-stroke and the 2-stroke kind of difference. So I think it develops a rider and improves a rider, right? Because you need to find the small differences in technique. And yeah, so I dare say, you know, looking back, I was just desperate to get in a 450 to even the playing field, but in hindsight, it probably helped me. Probably brought me along a little bit. Because
we had that first year was good. We did 2 GPs, because there was 2 GPs. There was the Isle of Wight,
and Matchams. Yeah, that's right.
But did you do 2? No, Isle of Wight came after Matchams, because what you done your wristing again?
Yeah. So no, I think I just done Isle of Wight.
Yeah.
I done Matchams another year.
Because that always amazed me. So when we started working together, one of the first things, and I still say this today, and I'm going to say it on record right now. When I've been asked down the years who was the best people, you know, running Team Green or anything that you've done, or people in the sport that you've worked with, and not to blow smoke up your ass, but when it comes to work ethic and knowing that you've left it all out there on the track and level of professionalism, I still say you're one of the most professional, hard-working riders I've ever worked with. So you're well enough.
Thanks, Jeff.
I know, but it's true, and it served you well, because you kept chipping away with it. You've had your fair share of injuries, but those last few years, you know, you never quite won a national championship. But fair, mate, you put it on the box of British Championship races. You know, you had the opportunity to race GPs, which you took and went in there and did well. Yeah. Now we're sat at Farley, and your professional career is over.
Yes.
What's your take on that? Are you happy with it?
Yeah, you know, a lot of people say I should have went another year, because even down to my last professional race, it was still a toss-up. I could have still won the ASU British Championship at the time. It would have been a long shot, but as it happens, I was third in my last ever championship year, third in the British Championship. Nearly won one of the other championships, but I damaged my foot. So, but you know, in the other championship, I was winning most of the races. So a lot of people said I should have gone another year, but I just had a baby with my wife, and it was just the thought of doing it all again, like another winter, you know, kicking my butt, and then the travelling with the child and stuff, and just going to the same tracks, doing the same stuff all the time, and putting your ass on the line, like not just on Sunday, but on Tuesday, on Wednesday, kicking your hole in at the gym, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then, you know, sometimes you're actually racing on Saturday as well. So doing it against, it's just, there was too much risk that I was tired of taking. Because I would take risks all the time. I think that's what made me.
I think that's fair to say.
Quite a good rider, is I was willing to take the risk and ride intense and do the training for it. So it was just a whole thing. It was just time for me to stop and look after myself a wee bit.
Yeah, you definitely did that. I can remember, you know, thinking, God, towards the end of my career and stopping, that I still learned a lot from you, because we are so contrasting in our approach to it, really. You know, but because when I said we kind of met, I was on slide, you was on it, because there was a moment there where we were about, you know, when we started Twisted Seven, when we were kind of, we'd go out riding or be a similar speed. I can remember we went to Cusses one day, you know, when Justin hadn't really opened the track for that long, and it was still a bit, you know, the soil was still a bit chalky and loose and whatever. And you and I had a tear around there for 20 minutes, and you were just like, I was just thinking, what is he doing? He was just clutch, revs, exploding it in any bit of loose dirt you could do, and I was just like gears high, riding around the inside thinking, well, how much energy is he using to do that? But then of course you were so bloody fit. Yeah,
that's it. Well, that was my thing, you know. I rode real intense. My intensity was high all the time, so that's kind of what I was good at, getting explosive starts and then going like fast early doors. So I had to obviously improve and have a fitness to keep up with that, which is probably why I had to train so hard, and I was very accountable for all my training, my physical fitness and just everything. So I'd hold myself responsible if I didn't do it, so I had like a fairly strict regime of that. I just always put the work in, but it was to kind of compensate for that. I kind of, I wouldn't say erratic, but intense. No, this is what I mean. No, you wasn't erratic. Style. No, let's make that one thing I just clear. Like to. You're a charger. You don't ride erratic. You're just so aggressive. Yeah, in my head, if I'm not trying as hard as I can, then I'm not going as fast as I can, and I would hate for myself to come in from a race and be like, shit, I should have tried harder. You know what I mean? And your style and other people's styles look like they're maybe smoother, or maybe look like they're not trying as hard, but then for me, in my head, I'm just trying as hard as I can, and that's the result of trying as hard as I can, being an intense rider, I guess. When did you
because it happens to a lot of us in the sport, if we want to get somewhere, when did you consciously, or when did you think, right, that's what I'm going to do, this I reckon I could, or not, that's what I want to do, when the moment of realization that you think you can go on and make a career out of it, was that a defining moment for you?
Just when I was little. So I remember I'd done an interview for it may have been TMX or something when I was 10 years old, and I just won the British Youth Championship, and I was quite dominant as a youth, and I think in that year in '95 when I won the 65 championship, out of 24 races or something, I won like 23, you know, so I used to whole shot win, and that was just kind of what I'd done. So from then that's what I wanted to do.
Was that on MX World Honda?
No, so this was 95, was 60s. Yeah, and so then that year I was, you know, really good, and I just decided then I just liked motocross, and I just wanted to be a champion, a world champion, I would say, and then obviously in the 80s, riding for Motocross World Honda, then I won all the time also. I won that championship. Then the very following year when I went to what was the hundreds back then, but it's the big wheels now, I won in my first year in the big wheels, so then I went straight onto 125. So in terms of youth career, I was like very decorated. I won everything you could win. So I came into the pros like with no other intention other than to make it. That was it, you know. I was really good at it, and I enjoyed it. I just enjoyed winning, and then when I got to the pros, it was kind of like a slow progress, because as you know, I was doing it all myself. I didn't really. I was sponsored by Team Green, but there wasn't like a team structure for the pro adult stuff there. So I was fending for myself, making my own bikes go fast. You know, learning how to rebuild bikes myself.
Repairing mine.
Yeah, repairing. Looking after my friends.
Yeah, that's
so yeah, for me, I didn't get the support when I moved. So I moved into the adults as the youth 125 champion, but didn't get like the team structure support. I just got given the bikes, and I don't grudge it for a second because it made me who I am. You know, learning how to work hard.
Right?
Yeah, totally. Learn how to work hard, learn how to build bikes, strip engines, down to a gearbox, like literally nuts and bolts. And I think that was good for me in my career long term, because then I understood bikes. I understood engines. When I was riding, I could analyse problems, give good feedback. And that all was because of the route I had to take to get to be successful. Yeah, basically.
Absolutely. And then, you know, it did start to roll, obviously, but you had I can remember when you said to me, we were in my garage at home one time and we were talking about injuries, because of course I you know, which a lot of people still don't believe, I never really broke any bones, which you always tell me. Well, obviously I didn't try hard enough, and it's probably got a valid point. But then I think you were 21 at the time, could have been around then, maybe you were younger than that. And then you said about your wrist, and then you told me that you'd had at that stage, I can remember this exact conversation, you said I've had 13 broken wrists, to which I said we've only got 2.
Yeah.
And that was like either 19, 20, whatever old you was. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Unfortunately, I've not accumulated any more since then. So I obviously had a rough kind of teenage
but do you think is that just a bit of both bad luck, and maybe just because you wanted it so bad at that stage, overriding the classic, you learn by your mistakes?
Totally. Well, I mean, it took me a long time to learn. Obviously 13 broken wrists, but no, I mean, I don't know why my wrists took it so bad, but I broke my wrists a lot of times.
See, I'm amazed that's never slowed you up more.
I've got a screw in my right wrist, and I've had that operated on once or twice, and I don't have the flexibility in it as much now as I did before I'd done it, but you just learn to adapt and you just overcome. And
see, that's what I think you're brilliant at. A lot of people do, they not make well, let's call it excuses, right? But you know, I've known some of the pain that you've ridden through, injuries that you've had. Not only do you make excuses, you don't even let people know you're injured sometimes.
No,
you literally don't even say if somebody having a bad weekend or whatever, and you've been injured, but you won't then use it, you won't even tell anybody you've got an injury, let alone use it as an excuse.
No, my philosophy is just adapt and overcome. So I mean, wherever you're dealing with, even yesterday, I done the same yesterday. I've not raced for God, don't know how long. My bike was playing up in one of the races, in the main race yesterday when I was leading, it was starting to cut out and bog, and I thought, shit, that's it, it's done, you know. So I started doing it on lap 2, and I just kept riding. I thought, well, I'll see how far I drop back. But I managed to then, again, having known bikes, I managed to figure out what was happening, figure out where it was happening and how it was happening, and then I managed to adapt my riding style out there yesterday to suit the problem, to work around it, and I still won the race yesterday. And that was because we found out what it was in the end. But just, I mean, while things get in your way, if you're there to line up, then line up to give it a go, you know.
The other thing I've always thought, you know, and that I can't remember when this happened, but you're in your shoulder, the what's it called, the muscle that wasted away?
The deltoid.
Yeah. So mental. Yeah, go on, look at that. Look at it. So you got no muscle or anything around there.
No.
And this is about the time when you were coming through really good. And then you picked up that ride for Cass, wasn't it? On Honda. That's right. You know, stepping onto a 450, doing GPs.
Yeah.
And holding on. Because
so that again, this was another thing. This was an injury, first race of the year, 2007.
But that's not like something, you know, you've literally got no muscle strength.
So I'll show you something, because it's on camera actually. So there's get to a point where I paralysed the muscle in my shoulder, right, and it ended up wasting away. And so there was a time when I had it, I couldn't lift my arm up. It was like I could only move from my elbow.
I was amazed when you told me.
I was so determined to come back to race motorbikes that I just worked it. It took me about 3 or 4 months, and then I was able to start lifting my arm up, you know, and that was a massive achievement.
Because you couldn't even get it past.
I remember I was in the shower and I lifted up the bar of soap. Right, I swear to God, and I just went straight to the gym. Out the shower, straight to the gym, started lifting 1 kilogram weights in the gym. And then in the end, I ended up getting back to riding at some level, and worked around it, learned how to work around. So I'll just show you some now. So, for example, when I'm in the driver's seat, right, and I reach over for my seatbelt, obviously your deltoid kicks in when you're at that point. But when I do it with this arm, it gets to a point that my arm,
that has just done that.
Yeah, so my arm then just falls because the muscles.
You're not doing that.
No. So I taught my arm to operate, to lift now using my bicep and my back, right? But it gets to a point where my bicep, my back can't
do it.
So see,
and that's it there.
For example, when I go to get a seatbelt on the passenger side, I have to hold my arm like this to get it.
Shit.
Or I have to throw my arm to try and catch it.
Have you just been out there tearing about on a
this is
dirty
legit.
grade
I can't pull this back the same way it fell. I have to drop it out or pull it back.
Mate, that is messed up.
So and that was result of an injury, wasting my shoulder, and my shoulder paralysed and wasting my shoulder away, and that's it now. Yeah, it's just bored. So again, I just learned how to ride with it. I just learned to change. My style just changed. I just learned. And now I've got a bigger back.
Your arm, that's why you go so fast, because your arm falls back on throttle side.
This ride doesn't bend very much, and this arm
and that just
falls
drops.
Down, yeah.
No wonder you go, it's a good job it won the other side. You'd never be able to pull a tear off again in your life. That is crazy, and yet you still had this, like I said, brilliant career. And then for me, I obviously stopped racing. You moved on, once we stopped the Twisted Seven thing and moved on to other teams and rode, really well and pushed on. And then I always remember before you retired, but certainly the last, and I always used to say it on commentary, the last 3 or 4 years before you retired, I mean, you were involved with some awesome races to watch out on track as a commentator, and I've always bang on about it. But you and Nev, I'm going to bring it up because it just seemed impossible. Like no matter which one of you started where on the track, you just kind of knew at some point you're gonna get together, and then you're locked in. You couldn't seem to. Some of the battles you two had, particularly in the Red Bull.
Nev was a grafter, and I was a grafter, and that was it.
Yeah.
I think there was only certain speeds you could ride those tracks on the equipment we both had. So it wasn't even down to who was the fittest, because we were both just grafters, and so it just came down to just knocking them out, just knocking laps out, waiting on a mistake, and we would be able, Nev and I would be able to just turn the laps out consistently forever. And it was literally at times just a mistake. It was that would separate us, and but we were riding on an edge, and we've spoke about it today again.
Yeah.
So I ended up Neville got the better of me off the start in this first race today, and I managed to pass him up the top. And then when I was speaking to him after, he was like, "Dude, I just seen you come past," and I thought, "Man," right? And he latched onto me, and he goes, "It was like old times. We were just tearing through the pack."
Totally.
Yeah, and then
you got another 2 yet as well, which I'm excited about.
I know. So yeah, it was. Yeah, Neville and I were just good racers. I had a lot of respect for him because I knew what work he was putting in was the same as mine. So I couldn't not respect the guy, because I know I worked hard and I know he matched me. So yeah, it was actually really cool to be involved in something like that.
What was the highlight, Bryan, do you reckon, for you out of all of it? I'm not necessarily saying a race win or whatever, just a moment where you know, I was, when you won your first British, I remember that being a real emotional moment, because you'd come close a few times before, and it was like monkey off your back that you finally win one of them. But your sort of proudest moment within it. I don't know if there's like a moment. Obviously, everything you just said, winning races, getting a top 10 on MXGP. But see, looking back at my career as a whole, sorry, I got something. It's alright. Take a glug.
Yeah, just looking back as my career as a whole, to have made it, made money, survived off motocross, done well, won races. Not that I ever wanted to be famous from it, but was a recognised person. Would shake people's hands and stuff, and have these epic races. To have a career, because it's so difficult to have a career in motocross. There's just so many people that want to do it, and in this country there's only really a few that actually make money off it. And to be one of those guys and have a good go and live the life and tour the country and the world at times, I'm proud of that.
Absolutely.
I'm proud of making it.
Do you think that, as well, obviously because of your work ethic, that was also a big part of it, wasn't it? The whole thing, the training, it wasn't just the riding, you absolutely loved that process as well.
I love being physically fit, I liked training. I like the euphoric feeling after really beasting in the gym. Sometimes going to the gym was hard. I don't think I liked every day and I was keen to get there every time. Not really, but I was so mentally strong that I could make myself go. And then after you do it, it's just like, yes.
See, because I don't know if you can remember this, but obviously after working with you for a couple of years or whatever, I even said, because one time you were beaten up, you had a big crash, you were busted, and you were staying down at our place, and you was off to do another cycle at a gym or whatever. And I actually tried to sort of say, you know, why don't you chill out for a little while, Bryan, whatever. And you was having none of it.
No.
You went off and did whatever you did, a run or whatever. And I said to BC, you know, that's mad. Like, and he said, but you won't change him. That's how he is.
I just liked it. I just wanted to be. Like I said, I held myself accountable.
Yeah.
So if I missed a day's training, I felt bad for it. So even though I didn't want to do it, like I said, I'd still do it and then feel great afterwards, and then go to bed at night, fairly assured that I've done my bit.
Well, you've definitely done that. Right, you've got to go.
Yeah,
just very quickly before you go then. Right, so you won the opening proper moto, the qualifier.
Yeah.
You've just been part of the Legends Parade, first time here.
First time here.
He's already a VMX legend. So what you beat Billy. Let's just quickly talk talk about that move in the qualifying race. Yesterday, the one we spoke about when you went round the outside.
Oh yeah, no, that was in the main race. Yeah, so I didn't actually get a brilliant start.
I wish I filmed it.
I was about 7th or 8th, and then I blitzed around the outside of him, like really close to round the outside of him one turn, bomb dived somebody else in the next turn, made my way through to the lead.
Especially after the smack talk, which I know is a bit of banter and everything, a bit of fun.
Yeah, he believes it. He believes it.
Does he?
Yeah.
So listen, so what do you reckon these final two then? Got to get the job done again?
Just need out the start. I got a terrible start on that one there today, and having no warm up this morning, just went as fast as I could to begin with. Got into 3rd, stalled it. As soon as I stalled it, the heat hit me. I just arm pumped up to death and finished 12th. But so in this next one, I just need good starts, and I think I'll be somewhere near the front again. Like I say, I got a bad start there. I think it was like 11th or 12th, and I still got up to 3rd within a few laps. So
is this it? Are you going to be back?
Yeah, if I'm invited, somebody needs to put me on the team.
Right.
And give me a bike.
I'm giving you a bike.
Yeah.
Well, look, it's so good to catch up with you, man. Yeah, it's brilliant to see you back out there as well. So hopefully you'll be back every year. I'll come and see you soon. I know I keep saying it, but I'm going to stay at his caravan now. He's got a caravan. He doesn't live in a caravan. He's got. I just want to make that clear.
Fairly flush.
He's not a motocross rider that didn't make enough money to not live in a house. No. All right, go and do your thing.
Nice one,
Bryan.
guys.
I'll speak to you later on. Bryan Mackenzie, there you go. Good to catch up with my old sparring partner. I'm going to go and try and grab somebody else here for Man in the Van, whether I will or not. It's pretty hectic here at the Vets Motocross Donations, and it's bloody hot too. So I'll try and get some more legends in here, people I meet, but in the meantime, if I don't, I'll be trying to do some more throughout the winter and other events coming up. So thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Bryan. I'm going to get back out there with an ice cream and watch Bryan and the rest of them go at it. Take care, everybody. I will see you soon. Thanks for watching.